We spent under $250 and made countertops that look like marble ones that would have cost $3 grand. And today I'm showing you exactly how we did it. Welcome back to my channel and part 3 of this kitchen makeover, where we're DIYing our own countertops from scratch. If you missed the earlier parts of this reno, the mold nightmare, rebuilding the walls, installing all the new cabinets, I'll link it here so you can catch up. Now, to keep the budget low, I built the countertops using 3/4 inch MDF sheets. This or particle board is the same material used inside most stock laminate countertops, so this will work great. I cut them down to size, then ripped 4-inch strips to double up the thickness on the edges. I wood glued and brad nailed those strips around all the edges and added extra supports underneath, anywhere the countertop spanned between 2 cabinets. This makes the countertop look like a thick 1.5 inch slab instead of a thin I used a jigsaw to cut around this curved corner and scribed along the wall to get a tight fit, then added the border strips all around. Next, we install the counters by screwing up through the cabinet braces from underneath. As always, make sure to pre-drill first.
You don't like easier, do you?
Wait, Bridget, your camera's at 1%.
Guys, I've got the cameras ready.
The corner piece was tricky since we couldn't get many screws in from below, so we used construction adhesive for most of it and screws wherever possible along the seam. Remember the breakfast bar we cut down in part 1? It's now countertop height and gonna open this space up a ton. Again, where screws weren't an option, construction adhesive and then weighting it down worked perfectly.
That's about as tight as it gets. Extra? Yeah.
We're also reusing the previous undermount sink as a drop-in to save even more money. To be honest, I don't think this would always work depending on your exact sink, but on our sink, the edges are super thin and low profile, so it worked great. Cutting the sinkhole was definitely nerve-wracking, but I just drilled starter holes and then used a jigsaw for the cutout.
Try. It's heavy.
Yeah, baby! Woo!
Thankfully, it fit like a glove. I used Bondo to make the edges look like one solid piece. It dries super fast, super hard, and sands down so smoothly, so it's perfect for this. Just make sure you have good ventilation because the fumes are strong. I sanded everything down the next morning, and the boys installed the new microwave. Prime the entire countertop surface, cutting in first, then using a foam roller for the rest. All you need to install a drop-in sink is a bead of silicone, so I did that, then had the boys drop it in place.
Only concern is that silicone is not oozing out. Oh, I pressed it down. Sorry, no, it's like really not ideal. It up in every direction and I just...
The first round didn't feel sealed enough, honestly, and always better safe than sorry on these things, so we did it again, and this time it looked way better. I wanted these countertop edges to be super smooth, so I did another round of regular wood filler and sanded it again. It's honestly wild how much this makes the 2 layers of MDF look like one solid slab.
Okay guys, no turning back.
Then I used a hole saw bit to cut out the faucet holes.
There we go.
I painted the countertops white using Rust-Oleum's Countertop kit. The benefit of this is that it's an all-in-one kit with the paints and a top coat included, but we found out later that the top coat isn't food safe, so we used something else anyways. So honestly, if I were to do it again, I'd save some money and not get the kit, just get some basic white and gray paint instead. Now this is where it gets fun, turning this MDF into faux marble. I laid out everything I needed, 2 different grays, it's the same color, one is just watered down more than the other, some watered down white paint, a texture sponge piece for each color, a small fan brush for veining, a bristle brush, and a ton of paper towels. And by the way, if you want to try this yourself, I'll have all the paints, tools, and all the supplies for this whole project linked in the description. I started with a darker gray and used the sponge to map out the general movement of the marble. Real marble has direction, so think soft diagonal flow rather than random dots. Then I dabbed it with a paper towel to soften it. Next, I used the lighter gray to break up harsh transitions and create those cloudy midtones that you see in real stone. Again, dab, soften, blend it out, and use a paper towel as much as you need. Next, I used white to help add depth. If you've noticed, marble veining never looks like it's on the surface level. It almost looks buried. So adding white really helps with this. For veining, I watered down the gray just a bit and used the fan brush to create thin, sporadic lines. The trick is to keep them organic, not too smooth, and overlap them onto the darkest parts of the dark patches that you already created. Then I soften the veins with a bristle brush. You can also mist with some water if you notice it's getting a bit too dry. all about layering. A little more white, a little more gray, soften with the towel, deepen a few areas, and it should start looking surprisingly like marble. Layering is honestly the key to making faux marble look real. Here you can see the time lapse from start to finish on this big section of the counter. To be honest, working on too big of a section at a time is kind of tough since it tends to dry quicker and be harder to work with, so I'd probably split this into 2 sections if I did it again. After everything dried, I lightly sanded and applied the Rust-Oleum top coat. It's great for some surfaces, but like I said, it's not food safe. And since my sister cooks a ton and wanted to be able to roll dough and prep food on it, we wanted something food safe. Of course, we peeled the tape and caulked before realizing that, but that's just how DIY goes. We reapplied tape and decided to go with Stone Coat Epoxy's Ultimate Top Coat as our food safe top coat. It's also supposed to be heat resistant, super durable, and it's also way less messy than a pour-on epoxy, and it's affordable. You just mix it according to their ratios, cut in the edges, roll it on, and work quickly and precisely to get a smooth finish. And that's the countertops. They turned out so good. And for under 250 bucks, you seriously can't beat it. In the next video, you'll be seeing more close-ups of these counters, and we're finally painting the cabinets, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.